The sacred bonfire crackles before the gathered wolves of the Thornvale pack, casting dancing shadows across 1,000 watching faces. Sarah stands at the center of the ritual circle, her heart pounding so hard she can feel it in her throat. Tonight is supposed to be the greatest night of her life. Tonight, Declan, the man she's loved since childhood, the beta's son, the wolf who promised her forever beneath a canopy of stars, will claim her as his mate before the entire pack. She's wearing her mother's ceremonial dress, ivory silk that whispers against her skin like a prayer. Her dark hair is woven with moonflowers, their pale petals releasing a sweet fragrance that mingles with wood smoke and pine. She's never felt more beautiful, more hopeful, and more certain of her place in the world. Declan steps forward, his sandy hair gleaming in the firelight, and Sarah's breath catches. This is it. The moment she's dreamed of for years. But something is wrong. His jaw is set too tight. His eyes won't meet hers. And standing just behind him, barely concealed in the shadows, Sarah catches a glimpse of golden hair and a satisfied smirk she knows all too well. Marin, the Alpha's daughter. I, Declan Voss, son of Beta Aldrich. Declan begins, his voice carrying across the silent crowd. Stand before this pack to make my declaration. Sarah reaches for him, her fingers trembling with anticipation. In moments he'll take her hand, speak the ancient words, and their wolves will recognize each other for eternity. Instead, he steps backward, away from her. I reject Sarah Valen as my mate. The words slice through the night air like a blade across her throat. For a moment, Sarah is certain she's misheard. This has to be a mistake, a cruel joke, anything but real. But the gasps rippling through the crowd tell her otherwise. Declan, she whispers, her voice breaking. What are you? She's cursed, Marin announces, stepping into the firelight with theatrical concern painted across her beautiful face. Born under a blood moon. Everyone knows what that means. Bad luck, darkness, death follows wherever she goes. Murmurs sweep through the pack like wildfire. Sarah sees the shift in their eyes, the way neighbors who smiled at her yesterday now edge away as if she carries plague. That's superstition, Sarah manages, though her voice sounds hollow even to her own ears. Old stories that mean nothing. Do they? Marin's smile is poison dipped in honey. Your mother died birthing you. Your father fell to madness. 3 wolves from your family lying dead before their time. She turns to address the crowd. How many more will this curse claim if we let her bind herself to our pack's future beta? Sarah's legs threaten to buckle. She searches Declan's face desperately, looking for the boy who held her hand through thunderstorms, who whispered promises against her lips, who swore he'd love her until the stars burned out. But that boy is gone. In his place stands a stranger who looks at her like she's something to be scraped off his boot. It's for the good of the pack, Declan says, and his voice holds no warmth, no regret. I won't bind myself to cursed blood. You promised me, Sarah breathes. You promised. Promises change when the truth comes to light. He turns his back on her, actually turns his back, and extends his hand toward Marin. I choose Marin Blackwood as my true mate. The Alpha's daughter takes his hand with a triumphant gleam in her pale eyes, and Sarah feels something shatter inside her chest. Not just her heart, something deeper. Something fundamental to her very being. Her wolf howls in anguish, the sound tearing through her mind like claws through flesh. The bond that was forming, that beautiful, fragile thread connecting her soul to his, snaps violently, leaving ragged edges that burn like acid. Sarah falls to her knees. The crowd watches in silence. No one reaches for her. No one offers comfort. She is alone in a sea of her own people, marked by rejection, branded by superstition, abandoned by the only man she ever loved. Someone should escort the cursed one from the circle, Marin says lightly, as if discussing the removal of garbage. Her presence taints the blessing. Rough hands grip Sarah's arms, hauling her upright. Guards she's known her entire life now handle her like a criminal, their faces carefully blank as they drag her toward the edge of the gathering. This can't be happening. This can't be real. Wait. The voice cuts through the chaos like thunder across a still lake. Deep, commanding, and carrying an authority so absolute that every wolf in the clearing freezes mid-motion. Sarah's wolf, still keening from the broken bond, goes suddenly, impossibly still. The crowd parts like water before a great ship, wolves dropping to their knees in waves as a figure emerges from the darkness beyond the bonfire's light. He moves with the fluid grace of a predator who has never known fear, never questioned his place at the top of every food chain that matters. Sarah's breath catches. She's never seen him before, but she knows him instantly. Every wolf in the 7 territories knows him. Kale Ravencrest, the Alpha King. He stands head and shoulders above the tallest warriors, his dark hair swept back from a face that belongs on ancient coins. All sharp angles and harder edges, beautiful in the way that lightning is beautiful. Dangerous, untouchable. His eyes are the deep amber of aged whiskey, and when they find Sarah across the firelit clearing, something in her chest responds with a jolt she doesn't understand. "My king," Alpha Blackwood stammers, falling into a hasty bow. "We didn't know you were... we weren't expecting..." Clearly, the word is ice. Kyle's gaze hasn't left Sarah's face. What is happening here? Marin steps forward with practiced grace, her smile designed to charm. "A small pack matter, Your Majesty. Nothing that requires your attention. Simply a rejection of unsuitable. Mate? I didn't ask you." The dismissal hits Marin like a physical blow. Her smile falters, color flooding her cheeks as whispers ripple through the crowd. Kyle walks towards Sarah, and each step makes her heart pound harder. The guards release her immediately, scrambling backward as their king approaches. She should kneel. She should lower her eyes. Every rule of protocol demands submission before the most powerful wolf in existence. But her legs won't cooperate, and her gaze won't fall. And somehow she finds herself staring directly into those amber eyes as he stops before her. Up close, the power rolling off him is almost suffocating. She can feel it pressing against her skin, demanding acknowledgement, demanding surrender. Her wolf should be cowering. Instead, impossibly, she feels her wolf rise to meet that power, not in challenge, but in recognition. Something flickers in Kale's eyes. Surprise, maybe, or something deeper. "This woman," he says softly, though his voice carries to every ear in the clearing. "What crime has she committed?" "No crime, my king," Alpha Blackwood hurries to explain. "She was simply rejected by her intended mate. A personal matter. Nothing... rejected." Kyle's gaze sweeps over Sarah, her tear-stained face, her mother's dress now dirt-smeared from her fall, the moonflowers wilting in her hair. "For what reason?" "She's cursed." Declan speaks up, emboldened by the attention. "Born under a blood moon. Everyone knows such wolves bring only... a blood moon?" Something shifts in Kale's expression, something Sarah can't read. "You rejected this woman because of the circumstances of her birth?" "For the good of the pack," Declan insists, though his voice wavers slightly under the king's scrutiny. Kale is silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, he turns to face the entire gathering. When he speaks, his voice rings with the full authority of his station, power made manifest, will made law. "This woman belongs with me." The declaration lands like a thunderclap. Sarah's mind goes blank. Around her she hears gasps, shocked exclamations, the rustle of wolves shifting in disbelief. But all she can see is Kale's face as he turns back to her. his amber eyes burning with an intensity that steals her breath. "My king," Alpha Blackwood sputters, "surely you can't mean— Do you question me?" The words are quiet, almost gentle, but they carry the weight of empires. Alpha Blackwood goes pale and drops into a deeper bow. "No, my king, never." Kale extends his hand toward Sarah. His palm is broad, his fingers long and elegant despite the calluses that speak of sword work. "Come." She stares at that hand like it might bite her. 5 minutes ago, she was being dragged away like refuse. Now the most powerful wolf in the world is offering to take her. Where? To what end? And why? "I don't understand," she whispers. "You will." His voice softens, just slightly, just for her. "Take my hand, and I swear on my blood that no one will ever treat you this way again." Behind her, she hears Marin's furious hiss. She hears Declan's stunned silence. She feels the weight of 1,000 stares, all watching to see what the cursed girl will do. Sarah takes his hand. The moment their skin touches, a shock runs through her. Electric and warm and terrifying all at once. Her wolf, still bleeding from the broken bond, suddenly goes quiet. Not in submission, in anticipation. Kale's fingers close around hers, firm and sure, and he leads her away from the bonfire, away from the pack that abandoned her, away from everything she's ever known. She doesn't look back. The king's carriage waits at the edge of Thornvale territory, a gleaming black vessel pulled by 4 midnight horses that stamp and snort in the cold night air. Guards in crimson cloaks flank the vehicle, their faces hidden beneath hoods, their postures radiating barely contained violence. Sarah climbs inside on trembling legs, too numb to process what's happening. The interior is all dark velvet and polished wood, luxurious beyond anything she's ever experienced. Kyle settles across from her, his massive frame somehow making the spacious cabin feel intimate. The carriage lurches forward, and just like that, her old life falls away behind her. "You're trembling," Kale observes. His voice has lost its commanding edge, becoming something almost gentle. "I don't know what's happening." The words come out raw, honest. "I don't understand why any of this. You'll understand soon enough." He produces a thick fur from somewhere beside him and drapes it across her shoulders. The gesture is unexpectedly tender from a man whose reputation is written in blood. I'm nobody. I'm cursed. Everyone says everyone is wrong." His amber eyes catch hers in the dim light. "Blood moon wolves aren't cursed, Sarah. They're rare. Precious. And you—" He stops abruptly, as if catching himself before revealing too much. She waits for him to continue, but he turns to look out the window instead, his jaw tight with something she can't name. The journey takes 3 days. They travel through territories Sarah has only heard of in stories. Vast forests where ancient trees block out the sun, mountain passes where the wind howls like mourning wolves, frozen rivers that glitter like scattered diamonds beneath the winter moon. Kale speaks little, but she catches him watching her when he thinks she's not looking. His guards treat her with careful respect, bringing her warm food and fresh water at every stop, addressing her as "my lady," though she holds no title. On the second night, the carriage wheel catches a hidden rock and lurches violently. Sarah is thrown forward, and before she can hit the opposite wall, strong arms catch her, pulling her against a chest that feels like warm stone. For a heartbeat, she's pressed against Kale, close enough to feel his heart beating, fast, faster than she would have expected from a man who seems carved from ice. His scent surrounds her, cedar and winter storms and something darker, wilder that makes her wolf stir restlessly. "Are you hurt?" His voice is rough. "No, She looks up and finds his face inches from hers, his amber eyes blazing with an emotion she can't identify. "I'm fine." He releases her so quickly it almost feels like rejection, retreating to his side of the carriage with his hands clenched into fists. "Forgive me," he says stiffly. "I shouldn't have." "You saved me from hitting my head," she points out, confused by his reaction. That's hardly something requiring forgiveness. But he doesn't respond, and the walls between them feel thicker than ever. On the third day, they arrive at Shadowmere Fortress. Sarah's breath catches as the massive structure emerges from the morning mist. It rises from the mountainside like a dark crown, all black spires and ancient stone, its towers reaching toward a sky heavy with snow clouds. Flags bearing the raven-crest wolf snap in the bitter wind. This is not a home. This is a monument to power, a warning carved in granite and shadow. The courtyard teems with warriors, hundreds of them, their bodies honed for violence, their eyes cold and calculating as they watch the king's carriage roll through the gates. Sarah sees no smiles, hears no laughter. Only the clash of training weapons and the sharp bark of commands. "Welcome to Shadowmere," Kale says, and there's something in his voice that might be warning. "This is my seat of power, my fortress, my prison." Before Sarah can ask what he means, a woman emerges from the fortress entrance. She's stunning, tall and willowy with hair like spun silver and eyes the color of a winter sky. Her gown is blood-red silk that moves like liquid fire, and she carries herself with the absolute certainty of someone who has never been denied anything in her life. "Kale, darling," her voice is honey poured over broken glass. "You've returned. And with a guest, I see." The way she says guest makes Sarah feel like something scraped off a boot. "Lysera." Kale's voice holds a note of warning. "This is Sarah Valen. She'll be staying with us indefinitely." Lysera's smile doesn't reach her eyes. How unexpected. And in what capacity will she be serving the crown? That's none of your concern. Something dangerous flickers across Lysera's perfect features, there and gone so quickly Sarah almost misses it. "Of course, my king. I only ask because, as your betrothed, the matter of strange women in the fortress does fall somewhat under my purview." Betrothed. The word hits Sarah like a bucket of ice water. Of course. Of course the Alpha King would have a mate chosen for him. Of course that mate would be a woman like this. Beautiful, powerful, clearly from noble blood. She doesn't know why the revelation stings so much. It shouldn't matter. She has no claim on him. No reason to feel this sudden, irrational surge of disappointment. "Show Sarah to the East Wing." Kale orders, his voice carefully neutral. "See that she has everything she needs." "The East Wing?" Lysera's perfect composure cracks slightly. "That's reserved for those I deem worthy of it." His amber eyes meet hers, and some silent battle rages between them. "Is there a problem?" "No." The word comes out clipped, brittle. "No problem at all, my king." As servants hurry forward to lead Sarah away, she feels Lysera's gaze boring into her back, like a knife waiting for the right moment to strike. She has made an enemy today. She doesn't fully understand why or how, but she knows it as surely as she knows her own name. And in a fortress full of killers, enemies are a luxury she cannot afford. 3 weeks pass in Shadowmere, and Sarah learns the rhythms of her new prison. She rises before dawn, when the corridors are empty, and she can explore without drawing stares. She takes her meals in her chambers, avoiding the great hall where Lysera holds court among the noble wolves. She keeps her head down, speaks only when spoken to, and tries to make herself as invisible as possible. It doesn't work. Wherever she goes, whispers follow. The blood moon wolf, the cursed one, the king's mysterious charity case. She hears the speculation, the mockery, and the thinly veiled contempt. No one knows why she's here, and in the absence of truth, they've invented stories far worse than reality. Some say she's a spy. Others claim she's a witch who's enchanted the king. A few whisper that she's warming his bed, which explains why Lysara looks at her like something to be scraped off and disposed of. None of them know about her gift. Sarah discovered it when she was 12, the night her father finally succumbed to the madness that had claimed him since her mother's death. She'd held his hand as the light faded from his eyes, and in her grief, something had reached out from her soul, a power she couldn't name, couldn't understand. She couldn't save him. He was too far gone, his mind too shattered. But in the years since, she's learned what she can do. She can heal, not just bodies, but something deeper. The bond between wolf and human. The invisible threads that connect a shifter to their animal spirit. She can mend what others cannot even see. It's a gift so rare that most wolves believe it to be myth, and Sarah has kept it secret, because in a world that already calls her cursed, being different in yet another way seems like a death sentence. But the fortress is full of broken things, and staying silent grows harder every day. She sees a young warrior with a limp that shouldn't still exist 3 months after his injury. A sign that his wolf isn't healing him properly, that something is fractured in the bond between his two halves. She sees a serving girl who flinches at sudden movements, whose wolf has retreated so deep within her that she can barely shift anymore. She sees a guard whose eyes hold the hollow emptiness of a man whose wolf has gone completely silent. Broken wolves. Everywhere she looks. And no one seems to think there's anything wrong with that. It's the Shadowmere way, one of the maids tells her when she makes the mistake of asking. Pain makes us strong. Suffering sharpens us. A wolf who can't endure doesn't deserve to survive. The words chill her to the bone. She finally sees Kale again at the end of her 3rd week, and it's not the reunion she might have hoped for. She's wandering the East Wing corridors, trying to memorize the maze-like layout, when she rounds a corner and nearly collides with the Alpha King himself. He's dressed for training, his simple tunic doing nothing to disguise the powerful lines of his body, and sweat gleams on his brow like he's been pushing himself to exhaustion. Sarah? He stops short, something flickering across his features. Surprise. Or maybe something warmer. I didn't expect... You should be resting. I've been resting for 3 weeks. She can't keep the frustration from her voice. I still don't know why I'm here. I still don't know what you want from me. And I can't just... Walk with me. It's not a request. He turns and strides down the corridor, clearly expecting her to follow. After a moment's hesitation, she does. He leads her through passages she hasn't discovered yet, up a winding staircase, and finally onto a balcony that overlooks the training grounds below. The sun is setting, painting the sky in shades of blood and gold, and the warriors below are finishing their drills. Brutal, punishing exercises that leave several of them limping. You want to know why you're here, Kale says, not looking at her. I'll tell you. But first, you need to understand something about this place. She waits. 20 years ago, my family ruled these territories with compassion and mercy. His voice is flat, emotionless, but she can hear the pain buried beneath. We believed in healing the sick, protecting the weak, showing kindness to those who couldn't defend themselves. We were loved. What happened? War happened. He finally turns to face her, and his amber eyes are haunted. The northern clans saw our mercy as weakness. They invaded at the height of winter, when our defenses were lowest. They slaughtered everyone in their path, men, women, children. My parents died protecting their people. My little sister... He stops, swallows hard. I was 15. Lysara's father found me in the ruins of our home, half dead from wounds that should have killed me. He saved my life, trained me, and taught me that the only way to survive in this world is to be harder than your enemies, crueler, stronger. And Lysara? Part of the arrangement. His jaw tightens. Her father united the remaining packs under my banner, and in exchange, I promised to make his daughter my queen. A political bond. Nothing more. Sarah shouldn't feel relieved by that. She shouldn't care at all. But she does. You still haven't told me why I'm here, she says softly. Cale is quiet for a long moment. When he speaks again, his voice is barely above a whisper. My wolf is dying. The words hit her like a physical blow. What? The night my family was killed, something broke inside me. The bond between my human half and my wolf. It fractured. For 20 years, I've held myself together through sheer will, but I can feel it slipping. He's getting quieter. Weaker. Soon, he'll go silent forever. And when that happens, you'll die, Sarah finishes. Every wolf knows this truth. Lose your wolf. Lose your life. Yes. He meets her eyes, and for the first time, she sees the fear he hides beneath all that control. But then I heard rumors of a gift. A blood moon wolf with the power to heal what cannot be healed, to mend broken bonds, to restore what was lost. Her heart stops. How do you know about that? She whispers. I've never told anyone. Your grandmother was Alara Valen. Something like respect enters his voice. The last known wolf healer. The gift passes through bloodlines. And you have her eyes, her presence. The moment I saw you standing in that firelight, being discarded like you were worthless, I knew. You knew I could save you. I hoped. The word costs him something. She can see it in the way his shoulders tense, the way his hands curl into fists at his sides. I'm not asking you to do anything tonight, or tomorrow. I'm asking you to stay, to learn what you're capable of, and when you're ready, to try. Sarah stares at him, this powerful, terrifying man who has conquered kingdoms and commands armies, now standing before her with his deepest vulnerability exposed. And if I can't? She asks. If my gift isn't strong enough? Then I'll die knowing I finally tried something other than suffering. A ghost of a smile crosses his lips. Either way, you're free. Whatever you choose, I won't force you. And I won't let anyone hurt you for being what you are. She should say no. She should demand he send her somewhere safe, somewhere far from this fortress of pain and its silver-haired princess who looks at her like a problem to be eliminated. Instead, she thinks of all the broken wolves she's seen, all the suffering she could end if she stopped hiding. I'll try, she says, but not just for you. For everyone here who's forgotten that healing isn't weakness. Something shifts in his expression, surprise, maybe, or admiration. You might be the bravest person I've ever met, he says quietly, or the most foolish. In my experience, they're often the same thing. For the first time since the bonfire, Sarah feels something like hope stir in her chest. Chapter 3. Sarah begins her work in secret. Cale arranges for her to have access to the fortress's herb stores, disguising her activities as an interest in traditional medicine. She spends her mornings studying texts on wolf physiology, and her afternoons wandering the grounds, quietly observing, looking for those who need her most. Her first patient finds her. The serving girl, the one who flinches at shadows, corners Sarah in the herb storage room one evening, her eyes wild with desperation. Please, she whispers, her voice cracking. I know what you are. I know what you can do. My wolf. I can barely hear her anymore. I'm disappearing, and no one cares. And I can't live like this anymore. Her name is Wren. She's 17. 3 months ago, she was attacked by a rogue wolf during a supply run, and though her body healed, something deeper didn't. Her wolf retreated to protect them both, and now refuses to come back. They call it a broken bond, Sarah says gently, taking the girl's trembling hands. But it's not broken, just hiding, wounded. scared. Can you fix it? I can try. The healing takes hours. Sarah closes her eyes and reaches with that part of herself she's never fully understood. The power that lives in her blood, her bones, and the very essence of what she is. She finds the fractured bond, delicate as spun glass, and begins the painstaking work of coaxing the pieces back together. When it's done, Wren is sobbing, but they're tears of joy. Her eyes flash gold as her wolf surges forward for the first time in months, and she throws her arms around Sarah with a gratitude that needs no words. Don't tell anyone, Sarah warns her. Not yet. I need to. I won't, I swear. But word spreads anyway. Within a week, others start seeking her out. A cook whose wolf won't let him shift after a kitchen fire left him scarred. A stable hand whose bond weakened when his mate died. A young warrior whose wolf went silent after he was forced to kill his own brother in a dominance challenge. Sarah heals them all. She knows she's taking a risk. She knows Lysara has spies everywhere, that every whispered secret eventually reaches those silver ears. But she can't turn away. She can't look at these people, these broken, hurting people who have been told their suffering is strength, and do nothing. The fortress begins to change. At first it's subtle. A servant humming while she works. A guard who smiles at a passing child. Laughter echoing from the kitchens. Small moments of joy in a place that had forgotten joy existed. Then it becomes harder to ignore. Warriors who could barely shift now run patrol in their wolf forms. Workers who moved through their days like ghosts now greet each other by name. The heavy silence that once blanketed Shadowmere lifts, revealing something softer underneath. Kyle notices. She catches him watching her across the training grounds one afternoon, his expression unreadable. Later, she finds a bouquet of moonflowers outside her door, the same flowers she wore in her hair the night everything changed. There's no note, but she knows who left them. Lysara notices too. The servants speak highly of you, Lysara says one morning, appearing in Sarah's path like a beautiful roadblock. They say you have healing hands, that you've helped several people with unusual ailments. I know some herbal remedies, Sarah replies carefully. Nothing more. Of course. Lysara's smile is razor sharp. I'm sure that's all it is. Still, I feel I should warn you. The king doesn't approve of weakness being coddled. If he discovered someone was undermining the principles this fortress was built on. Is compassion weakness? The question surprises them both. Sarah hadn't meant to challenge, but the words slipped out before she could stop them. Lysara's eyes narrow. You're bold for someone whose position here is so precarious, but boldness without power is just stupidity, and you have no power here. Remember that. She sweeps away in a rustle of silk, leaving Sarah's heart pounding. That night, she dreams of fire and screaming and a silver-haired woman laughing as the world burns. The confrontation she's been dreading comes 2 days later. A training accident. Or what's meant to look like one. A young wolf named Brennan misjudges a strike, and his sparring partner's claws tear through his side, catching something vital. Blood pours onto the training ground sand, and warriors gather to watch with the cold detachment Sarah has come to expect from this place. Leave him, someone orders. His wolf will heal him or it won't. Either way, he'll learn. But Sarah can see what they can't. The wound is too deep. His wolf is too weak. She recognizes him as one of those she hasn't reached yet. His bond already fragile. If she doesn't act, he'll bleed out on this ground while everyone watches. She doesn't think. She just moves. Get away from him, she shouts, pushing through the crowd and dropping to her knees beside the dying boy. Her hands are already glowing before she realizes what she's revealing, golden light spilling from her palms as she presses them against the terrible wound. Gasps ripple through the watching warriors. She hears whispers. Witch. Magic. impossible. But she blocks them out, focusing everything on the life slipping through her fingers. The healing is harder than any she's attempted. She has to repair flesh and strengthen his failing bond simultaneously, and the effort tears through her like fire. By the time the wound closes and the boy's breathing steadies, she's shaking so badly she can barely stay upright. But he'll live. That's all that matters. What is the meaning of this? Lysara's voice cuts through the silence like a blade. She strides onto the training ground with murder in her eyes, her silver hair streaming behind her like a battle flag. "You dare?" she hisses, looming over Sarah's kneeling form. "You dare use dark magic in the king's own fortress? You dare corrupt our ways with your cursed—" Enough. The word carries across the training ground like thunder, and every head turns toward the balcony above. Kale stands there, still as stone, his amber eyes fixed on the scene below. He takes in the healed boy, Sarah's glowing hands, the crowd of shocked warriors, and Lysara's furious face. When he speaks again, his voice leaves no room for argument. "Bring her to my chambers. Now." Sarah's heart plummets as guards step forward to escort her. She doesn't know what awaits her, praise or punishment, acceptance or exile. She only knows that everything has changed, and there's no going back. As she passes Lysara, the other woman leans close enough to whisper, "Enjoy your victory while it lasts, cursed one. Dead women don't get second chances." The guards lead her into the fortress, and Sarah wonders if she'll ever walk out again. The walk to Kale's chambers feels endless. Sarah's legs tremble with each step, her mind racing through every possible outcome. He could banish her, imprison her, hand her over to Lysara's tender mercies. She saved a life. Surely that counts for something. But she also exposed herself before the entire fortress, revealed a power that many would call witchcraft or worse. The guards deposit her at the heavy oak doors and retreat without a word. For a long moment she stands there alone, her heart hammering against her ribs. Then the doors swing open. Kale stands silhouetted against the firelight, his expression carved from stone. He says nothing as she enters, nothing as the doors close behind her with a sound like a tomb ceiling. The silence stretches until Sarah can't bear it anymore. "I know what I did was reckless," she begins, her voice steadier than she feels. "I know I should have waited, should have been more careful, but he was dying and I couldn't just—" "You saved him." She stops, blinks. "What?" "Brennan." Kale turns to face her fully, and something in his expression makes her breath catch. "He would have died. His wolf was too weak to heal that wound. You saved him when everyone else would have let him bleed out in the sand." "You're not angry?" "I'm furious." He crosses the room in 3 strides, stopping close enough that she can feel the heat radiating from his body. "I'm furious that you put yourself in danger. I'm furious that Lysara now knows exactly what you are. I'm furious that I've spent 20 years building walls around this place, and you've torn them down in a matter of weeks." Sarah's chin lifts despite herself. "Those walls were killing people." "I know." The admission seems to cost him something. "I've always known. I just couldn't see another way." He moves past her to the window, staring out at the darkening sky. When he speaks again, his voice is rough with emotion she's never heard from him before. "I watched you today, not just when you healed Brennan. Before that, I've been watching for weeks. The way you move through my fortress like a small sun, warming every cold corner you touch. The way people smile after they've spoken with you. The way this place feels different. Kale. I've spent 2 decades convincing myself that pain is strength, that suffering builds character, that mercy is weakness." He turns to face her, and his amber eyes are blazing. "You've undone all of it in 3 weeks, and I don't know whether to thank you or hate you for it." She should stay silent. She should let him work through whatever storm is raging inside him. Instead, she crosses the distance between them and does something impossibly foolish. She takes his hand. The contact sends electricity through both of them. She feels him go rigid, sees his eyes widen with something that might be fear or might be hope. "Let me try," she whispers. "Let me try to heal you. Not tomorrow. Not when I'm ready. Now." "Sarah, you just exhausted yourself saving Brennan. You don't have the strength." "I have enough." She squeezes his fingers, feeling the calluses, the strength, and the tremor he can't quite hide. "Please, let me see." For a long moment, he doesn't move. Then, slowly, he lowers his walls. Sarah gasps. She's seen broken bonds before, fractured threads, weakened connections, and wolves hiding from trauma. But this is devastation on a scale she never imagined. Kale's wolf is barely there, a ghost of a presence, curled in on itself in some dark corner of his soul, slowly fading away like a candle guttering in the wind. The bond between them is held together by nothing but sheer willpower and desperation, threads so thin they're almost invisible, screaming under the strain of keeping him alive. "How are you still standing?" she breathes. Stubbornness, mostly. His attempt at humor falls flat. Is there anything? "I don't know." The honest answer hurts to speak. "I've never seen damage this severe. It would take everything I have just to stabilize you, and even then don't." He pulls his hand away, and the loss of contact feels like a physical wound. "I won't have you destroy yourself for me." "That's not your choice to make." "It's exactly my choice." His voice hardens. "I'm still your king. And I'm the only one who can save you." She steps closer, refusing to let him retreat into his cold authority. "You brought me here for a reason. You saw something in me that night at the bonfire. Don't you dare push me away now that I'm finally ready to help." The fire crackles between them. Outside, wind howls against the fortress walls, and something shifts in Kale's expression, something that makes Sarah's heart skip. "You terrify me," he admits quietly. "Not your power, not your gift. You. The way you make me want things I'd forgotten how to want." "What things?" He's close enough now that she can count the flecks of gold in his amber eyes. His hand rises slowly, hesitantly, to brush a strand of hair from her face. The touch is feather light, almost reverent. "Hope," he whispers. "Connection. A future that isn't measured in battles won and enemies destroyed. Things I buried the night my family died." Before she can respond, horns shatter the moment. Warning horns. The deep, bone-shaking blasts that signal incoming attack. Kale's head snaps toward the window, all vulnerability vanishing beneath the mask of the Alpha King. "Stay here," he orders, already moving toward the door. "Whatever happens, do not leave this room." "What's happening?" But he's gone before she can get an answer, the doors slamming behind him with terrible finality. Sarah runs to the window. Below, the fortress has erupted into chaos. Warriors pour from every building, some in human form with weapons drawn, others shifting mid-stride into massive wolves. Torches blaze to life along the walls, illuminating figures streaming through the main gates. Attackers, dozens of them, maybe hundreds. And at their head, unmistakable even at this distance, rides a man Sarah never expected to see again. Declan. Her former mate leads the charge, his sandy hair streaming behind him, his face twisted with a hatred she doesn't understand. Behind him flies a banner she doesn't recognize, a silver wolf on a field of black. Different from any pack sigil she knows. How is this possible? Why would Declan attack the Alpha King's fortress? And who commands an army large enough to challenge Shadowmere? The answers will have to wait. Because through the chaos below, Sarah spots something that stops her heart. Kale, still in human form, cutting through enemies with brutal efficiency, but moving wrong, favoring his left side, slowing with each passing moment. His wolf. The strain of battle is too much for that fragile bond. He's weakening before her eyes, and no one else can see it. No one else knows their king is fighting on borrowed time. She should stay here. He ordered her to stay here. Sarah runs for the door. The corridors are pandemonium. Servants flee in every direction, their screams echoing off stone walls. Guards rush past without seeing her, their focus on the battle raging outside. Smoke begins to curl through the passages. Someone has set fire to the eastern barracks. Sarah pushes through it all, fighting her way toward the main courtyard. Her heart pounds with every step, fear and determination waging war in her chest. She has no weapon, no armor, and no plan. All she has is the certainty that she cannot lose him. She bursts through the fortress doors into hell. Bodies litter the ground, some still moving, most not. The clash of steel and the snarls of wolves create a symphony of violence that makes her head spin. Blood soaks into the sand, turning it dark and treacherous underfoot. The air reeks of copper and smoke and fear. She spots Kale near the center of the fighting, surrounded by enemies. He moves like death incarnate, his sword a blur of silver that cuts down anyone foolish enough to approach. But she can see what others can't. The way his movements are slowing, the way his free hand keeps pressing against his chest as if trying to hold something together. His wolf is failing. Right here, right now, in the middle of battle. Kale! Her scream cuts through the chaos. His head snaps toward her, and for one terrible moment, their eyes meet across the blood-soaked courtyard. She sees relief, and fury and fear all tangled together in his gaze. Then Declan appears behind him. No! Time slows to a crawl. She watches Declan's blade rise, watches it arc downward toward Kale's unprotected back, watches the man she loves. The realization hits her like lightning, and with it comes power she didn't know she possessed. Golden light explodes from her palms, not the gentle glow of healing, but something fiercer, brighter, a shockwave that ripples outward and sends Declan flying before his blade can connect. Enemies within 20 feet stumble backward, temporarily blinded. Sarah doesn't understand what just happened. She doesn't have time to understand. She runs to Kale, dropping to her knees beside him as he staggers. Up close, he looks worse than she feared, his face gray, his breathing labored, and blood seeping from wounds that his wolf should have already healed. "You were supposed to stay inside," he growls, but there's no real anger in it, only exhaustion. "You were supposed to not die." She grabs his arm, hauling it over her shoulders. "We need to get you somewhere safe. You can't fight like this." "I can't leave my people." "You'll be dead in 10 minutes if you stay here." The words come out harsh, desperate. "Your wolf is collapsing. I can feel it. Please, Kale. Please let me help you." For a heartbeat, she thinks he'll refuse. His eyes scan the battle around them, taking in the warriors fighting and falling, the chaos he feels responsible for controlling. She watches the war play out on his face, duty versus survival, pride versus need. Then his weight settles against her, and she knows he's reached the end of his strength. "The North Tower," he rasps. "There's a room. Fortified. We can—" He doesn't finish. His eyes roll back, and suddenly Sarah is supporting his full weight, her knees buckling under the burden. "No, no, 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 stay with me. Stay with me." Strong hands appear, taking Kale's other arm. Sarah looks up to find Wren, little Wren, the serving girl whose wolf she healed, her eyes blazing gold with determination. "I've got him," Wren says. "Others are coming. We heard you needed help." And they are. Emerging from the chaos come the broken wolves she's healed, the cook, the stable hand, the young warrior whose brother's death nearly destroyed him. A dozen people whose bonds she mended, now forming a protective circle around their fallen king and the woman who saved them. For the healer, one of them says, and others take up the cry. For the healer, for the king. Together, they carry Kale through the battle. Enemies try to stop them, but the healed wolves fight with a ferocity born of gratitude and purpose. They've tasted what it means to be whole again, and they will not let anyone take that from them. The North Tower is exactly where Kale said. A fortified room with walls thick enough to withstand siege weapons and a door that locks from the inside. They lay him on a simple bed while the healed wolves take up defensive positions. Go, Sarah tells them. Help the others fight. I'll take care of him. Are you sure? Wren asks, her young face creased with worry. I'm sure. Now go. Your pack needs you. They go. And Sarah is alone with a dying king. She places her hands on his chest and opens herself to his pain. It nearly destroys her. The damage is worse than before. The strain of battle has shredded what little remained of his bond. His wolf is a flicker now, barely visible, fading with each labored breath. She has minutes at most before the connection severs completely and takes Kale with it. There's only one way to save him, and it might kill them both. Sarah doesn't hesitate. She pours everything into him, not just her healing power, but her life force, her essence, the very energy that keeps her own wolf alive. She becomes a bridge between him and his dying wolf, offering her own strength to rebuild what was destroyed. The pain is indescribable. She feels herself fragmenting, spreading too thin, losing the boundaries that define where she ends and he begins. His memories flood into her, a laughing mother with flowers in her hair, a stern father teaching him to hold a sword, a little sister with ribbons who followed him everywhere begging for stories. Then darker memories, fire consuming his childhood home, screams that haunted his dreams for years, a young boy clutching his dead sister's body, howling with a grief that shattered something fundamental in his soul. She sees the boy he was before tragedy broke him, and she loves that boy as fiercely as she loves the man he became. Come back, she whispers, though she doesn't know if it's to Kale or his wolf or both. Please, I need you to come back. Deep in the darkness of his soul, something stirs. The wolf, Kale's wolf, raises its head. For 20 years it has hidden in shadow, nursing wounds no one could see, slowly surrendering to despair. But now there is light. Now there is warmth. Now there is someone reaching for it with hands that know exactly how to heal. It reaches back. The bond reforms like a thunderclap, not just repaired, but forged anew, stronger than it ever was before. Sarah feels it snap into place and cries out at the intensity of it, the rightness of it. The way Kale's wolf and her wolf suddenly recognize each other with a certainty that transcends understanding. Mates. They are mates. Not by choice or arrangement or circumstance, but by fate. By the ancient magic that existed before, packs had names or territories had borders. By a truth that was always there, waiting to be discovered. Sarah collapses. The last thing she sees before darkness claims her is Kale's eyes snapping open, amber burning gold, his wolf fully present for the first time in 2 decades, staring at her with an emotion so intense it takes her breath away. And then nothing. Sarah wakes to warmth and the smell of cedar. For a long moment she doesn't move. She's alive. That's the first miracle. She can feel her wolf, tired but present, curled contentedly somewhere deep in her soul. That's the second miracle. The third miracle is the man sitting beside her bed. You're awake. Kale's voice is rough, like he's been talking too much or sleeping too little. Dark circles shadow his eyes, and his jaw is covered in several days' worth of stubble. He looks exhausted. He looks relieved. He looks beautiful. How long? She manages, her voice coming out as a croak. 4 days. His hand finds hers, squeezing with a gentleness that makes her heart ache. You nearly died, Sarah. Your wolf retreated so deep we couldn't sense her anymore. I thought... He stops, swallows hard. I thought I'd lost you before I ever truly had you. The battle? Won. A ghost of a smile crosses his lips. Turns out having an army of healed wolves who actually want to fight for their king makes a significant difference. The warriors you helped, they rallied the others. Declan's forces broke within hours once they saw we wouldn't fall. And the attack? Why would Declan? It was never about him. Cale's jaw tightens. The whole thing was a distraction, orchestrated by someone who wanted me dead and you out of the way. Lysara! Lysara! He nods grimly. She funded Declan's army using resources she'd been siphoning for years, fed him intelligence about our defenses, our patrol schedules, our weaknesses, promised him you as a prize if he helped her eliminate me and take control of Shadowmere. Sarah's blood runs cold. She wanted me? She wanted you destroyed. His thumb traces circles on the back of her hand, a soothing motion that seems automatic. You were everything she couldn't be, a true healer, someone who made people love their king instead of fear him. She saw you changing this place, changing me, and she couldn't stand it. Where is she now? Gone. Fled when the battle turned, took what loyalists she had left and disappeared into the northern territories. His expression hardens. We'll find her eventually. But for now, she's no longer a threat. Her power base has crumbled. The wolves she thought were loyal to her father's memory saw what her scheming nearly cost us all. And Declan? Captured. Awaiting judgment. Cale's eyes search her face. He asked to see you. Begged, actually. Claims he wants to apologize, to explain. I told him you'd decide if and when that happens. Sarah thinks about the man who promised her forever beneath a canopy of stars, then threw her away like garbage before their entire pack. She thinks about the shame that burned through her as she knelt in the dirt, abandoned and alone. She thinks about how that rejection, that moment of utter devastation, led her here, to this room, to this man, to a fate far greater than anything Thornvale could have offered. I don't want to see him, she says finally. He doesn't matter anymore. He stopped mattering the moment I took your hand. Good. Something warm flickers in Cale's eyes. Because we need to talk about something else. Something important. The mate bond. He goes very still. You felt it too. I felt everything. She struggles to sit up, and he's there immediately, helping her, arranging pillows with a tenderness that makes her heart ache. Your memories, Kyle. Your pain. Your wolf reaching for mine like he'd been waiting his whole life to find her. He had been. Kyle's voice is barely above a whisper. We both had. I just didn't know it until you were there, holding us together when everything was falling apart. Your wolf. He's magnificent, by the way. I understand why he was worth saving. Why you were worth saving. Sarah. He cups her face in his hands and the contact sends warmth flooding through every part of her being. What you did for me, no one has ever sacrificed so much. No one has ever seen me, the real me, not the king, not the conqueror, and chosen to stay anyway. I didn't just stay. She places her hands over his. I chose you, the broken parts and the healed ones, the king and the boy underneath. All of it. Then let me choose you back. He leans closer, his forehead resting against hers. She can feel his breath, warm against her lips. Can feel the steady beat of his heart, strong and whole for the first time in 20 years. Lysara's betrayal voided our betrothal. He continues softly. The council dissolved it the moment her treachery came to light. Which means I'm free to follow my heart instead of my duty. And where does your heart lead? To you. The words are simple, absolute. It's led me to you since the moment I saw you standing in that firelight, being thrown away by fools who couldn't see what they had. My wolf knew before I did. He wanted to claim you right there, in front of everyone. Consequences be damned. Why didn't you? Because you deserved a choice. His amber eyes, fully gold now, his wolf present and joyful, never leave hers. You'd just been rejected by someone who should have treasured you. I wouldn't force another bond on you before you'd had time to breathe, to heal, and to decide for yourself what you wanted. Tears spill down Sarah's cheeks. After everything, the cruelty, the scheming, the near death, here is this man, thinking of her comfort, her choice, her heart. I love you, she whispers. I think I started falling that night in the carriage, when you wrapped me in fur and looked at me like I mattered. I fell harder when you carried me up the mountain without a word of complaint. And I fell completely when you let me see your pain and trusted me to help. I love you too. His voice breaks slightly on the words, as if they've been locked away so long they've forgotten how to emerge. I love your courage and your compassion and the way you make me want to be the man my parents believed I could become. I love that you fought for my people when they'd given you nothing but cruelty. I love that you saved me when I'd given up on being saved. She closes the distance between them. The kiss is soft at first, tentative, questioning, as if he's afraid she might shatter. But when she tangles her fingers in his hair and pulls him closer, something breaks free in him. He kisses her like a man who has been drowning for 20 years and finally found air. Like she is the answer to a question he'd forgotten how to ask. Like she is home. When they finally break apart, both breathing hard, his forehead rests against hers. There's one more thing, he says, a hint of nervousness entering his voice that she's never heard before. Ask me. He takes her hands in both of his grip firm but gentle. Sarah Valen, Blood Moon Wolf, healer of broken bonds, the bravest, most stubborn, most infuriatingly wonderful woman I have ever known. His voice trembles slightly, and she realizes the mighty Alpha King is nervous. Genuinely, truly nervous. Will you be my mate? Not because fate demands it, not because our wolves recognized each other in that tower, but because I choose you. Because I will always choose you in this life and whatever comes after. Sarah thinks of everything that brought her to this moment. The rejection that felt like the end of the world. The journey that opened her eyes to who she really was. The fortress of pain she helped transform into something better. The broken king she healed and the love that grew between them against all odds. Yes, she whispers, 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times, forever and always. Yes. He kisses her again, deeper this time, a seal on the promise they've made, and somewhere in the distance, wolves begin to howl, not in warning this time, but in celebration. The sound rises through the fortress, spreading from throat to throat as word passes that their king has finally found his queen. Outside the window, the sun breaks through the clouds for the first time in days, bathing Shadowmere in golden light. A new era has begun. 6 months later, Shadowmere is unrecognizable. Where once there were only training grounds and barracks, gardens now bloom with healing herbs and wildflowers. The clash of weapons still rings through the courtyards each morning, but now it's accompanied by laughter and friendly competition rather than brutal silence. Warriors train hard, but they also know they'll be healed if they fall, and that knowledge has made them fiercer, not weaker. Children play in corridors that once echoed only with harsh commands. Music drifts from the great hall during evening meals. Servants smile openly, no longer afraid to show joy in a place that had forgotten what joy meant. Sarah stands on the balcony where Kyle once revealed his dying wolf, watching the sunset paint the mountains in shades of rose and gold. Her hand rests on the gentle swell of her belly, a secret she's been keeping for 3 weeks, waiting for the perfect moment. Tonight is that moment. You're thinking loudly again. Strong arms wrap around her from behind, and she leans back into her mate's embrace. Even after 6 months, the bond between them hums with warmth, a constant reminder that she is loved, that she belongs, that she will never be alone again. I'm thinking about how far we've come, she says softly. About everything that had to break before it could be rebuilt. Kale presses a kiss to her temple. Regrets? Not a single one. She turns in his arms, looking up at the face she's come to love more than she ever thought possible. His amber eyes glow faintly gold in the fading light, his wolf always present now, always at peace. If Declan hadn't rejected me, I never would have found you. I never would have found myself. Then I suppose I owe him thanks. Kale's lips quirk. Though I'll never tell him that. She laughs, a sound that still makes his eyes soften every time he hears it. Speaking of things we're not telling people, she takes his hand and places it over her stomach. For a moment, he doesn't understand. Then his eyes widen, his breath catches, and she watches the realization dawn across his features like sunrise breaking over the mountains. Sarah, he breathes. Is this? Yes. Tears slip down her cheeks, but she's smiling so wide her face aches. You're going to be a father, Kale. We're going to have a family. He drops to his knees before her. The Alpha King, conqueror of territories, commander of armies, the most powerful wolf in 7 kingdoms, kneels in the fading light and presses his forehead to her belly with a reverence that takes her breath away. His shoulders shake, and she realizes he's crying. I never thought I'd have this, he whispers against her skin. A mate who loves me, a child to carry on what we've built, a future worth living for. He looks up at her, tears streaming unashamedly down his face. You gave me all of it, Sarah. You gave me everything. She sinks down to join him, cradling his face in her hands. We gave it to each other. He kisses her then, soft and sweet and full of promise. Around them, the first stars begin to appear, and somewhere in the fortress below, wolves start to howl, not in warning or in battle, but in joy, in celebration of all that was lost and all that has been found. The cursed blood moonwolf, rejected and discarded by those who should have loved her. The broken Alpha King, hiding his dying soul behind walls of cruelty and pain. Together, they built something neither could have imagined alone. A kingdom where strength and mercy walk hand in hand, a pack where healing is honored alongside fighting. A love story written in scars and starlight, proving that the deepest wounds can become the greatest gifts. And in the years to come, when their children ask how their parents met, Sarah will smile and say, "He found me on the worst night of my life and told the whole world I belonged with him. And she believed me," Kale will add, pulling her close. Eventually. Their laughter will ring through halls that once knew only silence, and their wolves will howl in harmony under the same moon that was once called a curse. Because some bonds aren't broken by rejection, they're forged by it. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed Sarah and Kale's story. If this story made you feel something, please hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Your support means the world to me. Until next time, may you find someone who sees your worth when others are too blind to look. Ichut.